Sawtooth Dave, what's happening, guys? Well, I got them all in here finally. We're gonna do a collection video. Labor Day weekend, I figure I'll show you a labor of love. It's collecting all these knives. I don't expect anybody to be on board with everything I like to collect. Just basically wanted to document and show it off. So we're gonna I'm gonna go down to this map. I'm gonna kind of do them. I'm gonna try to group them like manufacturers, like multiples and that sort of thing, and snip them all together. All right, so for the namesake, y'all know I gotta start with the sawtooth. So this is a full DLC. I made the scale and the backspacer, but it's all like been reblasted, reground. This is BGM. This is the one I recently got, and the old standby flat ground original DLC run, an S30. So this is 20 CV. This one's S30. Obviously, you know I love the Grayman sawtooth, so that's the Grayman sawtooth. All right, up next is Skype knives. So this is a Skype 2.0. Has been reblasted. It was all like kind of like rainbow anodized kind of thing. This is a thumb stud. There's single thumb stud, but you can get on the back and thumb flick it. I put this one back on fat washers, the washers that I made for it. This one has been modified. I did add the finger choil. I did reprofile the tip of it. But this is a 2.0. I can't remember what number this one is. Obviously, I blasted a lot of stuff on this one, so nowhere near stock, but still a cool knife. And on the phosphor bronze, I like it for a work knife pretty good. This is number one of the 2.5s, all DLC'd. Obviously thumb hole instead of studs. This one is symmetrical V-ground primary and secondary, but it's the all DLC. All the hardware and everything is DLC'd. Number one of the 2.5s. Really glad I got both these in the collection. Well, since we're doing two first, we might as well do these two. These are the heaters. So MOW, this is number 497. POW, I have no idea what number that one is. I'll look on the paperwork, but both these came via Steve, Scotch and Things. He's actually the one that exposed me to both of them. I really fell in love. Actually, both of them I fell in love, but this Man of War I really fell in love with. I foresee, when I get better with knife grinding, I foresee both these getting regrind. I know it's probably sacrilegious to some people, but I don't know. Like, the reason I don't carry these more is honestly because of the grinds. This one's super thick grind. Nothing bad about it. It's just super thick behind the edge. And this one's just a funky grind. I'd rather just make that all smooth and nice transition into a nice big belly there. So I'll probably just profile both of those and make them more what I want. But anyway, two heaters, MOW, POW. All right, another set of two. So Direware solo. Billy had this solo for a while. I got this one from Tyler. Everyday carry, everyday EDC. But he's no longer on YouTube or anything. But I got this one originally from Tyler, and then it went to Apex Alchemy, Billy and Courtney for a while. And then it came back here, and I did some bearing work to it and reprofiled the thumb studs a little more. Like I did a kind of a Kershaw mod where you get that slant thumb stud on this side, and then made that a little smaller, but left it chromed or left it domed with the radius there. But anyhow, I plan on probably doing some more work to this one, but for right now it's done. And then also I got the S90 Hawkbill full of titanium. I might do a titanium scale for this one eventually, but that's my Direware, my solo, and my S90. I've had more, but I got more from Scotch and Things a while back. They seem to slip through my fingers, and now they owned by Will over at WC Blade Reviews. But both these are really cool knives. I can't remember where I got the S90 from. I think maybe Blade Forms or USN or something. I can't remember where I got them, but there's my Direwares. Sticking with the theme of twos. So I got this one from Will, which I believe this is called the Fatty Tanto. And this one is a later run or newer run, whatever you want to call it. I can't remember what steel it's in. Doesn't really matter to me. I think it's 154 or maybe CTS XHP. I can't remember. Tiger Stripe back. This is aluminum scale one, but without the standoffs. It's the full scale and everything, just like the regular Legos would be. Really cool knife. I actually dig this one a lot. This is probably one of the older knives I have in the collection. This is the original Strider run with the S30, but it doesn't even have the steel marked on it. This one's been reprofiled, coated. This chevron scale came off a Gen 2 chevron SMF, but this whole back's been Cerakoted, used and carried, and lockup's late as hell, but it's still a cool as shit knife. I'm glad we got it in the collection. It's probably one of the older ones that I've had. I've had that one easily over a decade. I couldn't tell you exactly how long, but probably somewhere around 12, 13, maybe 14 years I've had this one. This one's somewhat of a recent but my 2 Striders. And now for the Chris Reeves. So this one right here was a Zon S45. This was a present from my bro Steve. So by far one of the coolest things I've ever been gifted ever. Still very much so in love with this knife. Carry it a lot and often. This one came actually. It was supposed to be for Aaron, and Aaron decided he couldn't carry it because it was too nice for him. So I ended up trading him back and getting it back. But I got this one at Blade Show for Aaron, and then ended up getting it back. So I guess kind of sort of I bought it at Blade Show for myself. But anyway, those are my 2 Chris Reeves. Inlay with the Mercado on this one and the in single blade, but only single thumb stud. So will I modify this one? Will I not? I don't know. I haven't decided if I'm going to. This one has had the thumb stud mod. I basically just drilled that stock thumb stud for a 256 and then added the 2 thumb studs on top, so it won't change the lockup. So the original stud's still locking it up. Anyway, my 2 Chris Reeves. Well, I couldn't decide if I wanted to do the more of the same manufacturer or less. So I guess we're going to go up. We'll sing all the single manufacturers for the end. But you know, I used to have a lot of pride in carrying a lot of ZTs. So if y'all didn't know, my wife also collects too. So these 2 are pretty much what we consider in her collection. This is my only ZT in my collection. But you know, I'm doing a whole collection video, so why the hell not? 0456 black stonewash and regular 0456. Don't ask what the steel is. This is the original run, not the one that Johnny Come Lately went on, whatever it was, M4 or whatever. And then a 0462, I think. Yeah, I think 0462. And I've had several ZTs. If you look at my older videos, I had a hell of a lot more ZTs. This is kind of all that remains. And I'll be honest, my wife carries the 0462 occasionally. These other ones don't even get carried anymore. They're kind of just leftovers from the previous collection, but still 3 ZTs hanging in there. All right, it says the Old Dominion 3 for the Old Dominions. So this is the most recent. I got this one at Blade Show 23. So that's a Zilla. All these are customs if you don't know. I can't remember all the other details on this one, but the Zilla is a big bad motherfucker. I did put different studs on that one. This is the 4-inch Chupacabra. I got this one at Blade Show 22. Dig this one a lot too. For whatever reason, I really don't carry these all that often. And this one actually came after I got this one at Blade Show. I saw this one, this little 3.5 popped up, and I ended up snagging it. This did have a single thumb stud, but it looked just like this, and I ended up making it dual thumb studs. Actually, these are the thumb studs off that Zilla. So, and then some of the anno work. JD for EDC did the what do you call it, pocket clip, and the pivot collars. The back spacer I did by Flame, and I think I did something else. The studs are on that one, but they used to be on this one. So yeah, 3.5-inch Chupacabra. So those are Old Dominions. I might do redo the Flame anno on this and make it a little darker, kind of sort of what's on the nature of this, but we'll see. I don't know. Like I don't really carry these all that often. It's kind of more of a collection thing. But that's my Old Dominion Knife Works. And we're down to the Zermanos now. These are my 4. So I got this one from Doug. 5-door something or other. You'll see them in the comments probably. This is the Harpoon, I believe is what Zermano calls it. So it's kind of a little funky guy. When I first got it, I wasn't really sure what to do with it. I started playing with it, and it's a pretty good fidget knife. As far as actually using it, it's super thick. So I don't know. I mean, I have used it, but it's not like the best knife to be a knife. But as you look at my collection, that's kind of my collection as a whole. I really don't give a shit about the actual like knife performance more than I like the cool factor and how I like it, it feels in the hand, all the other stuff. Like if you're into bruisers, you're into bruisers, man. Like you can't justify that it's the best cutting tool if you're into bruisers. I'm not gonna get into all that, but anyhow, Zermano Harpoon, and then if you can tell, I got a little bit of a liking for the Zermanos. So this is tier. This is the first one that I bought and reground from BGM. Countersunk the hardware, changed the hardware to stainless instead of that, and then changed the pocket clip and drilled and tapped it to accept this. I think it's a PM2 clip or something from RGT, but this was a nice regrind from BGM. I like this tier a lot, but I honestly don't really carry it that much anymore. I don't know why. I didn't fall out of love with it. I just don't carry it as much. This one, I reblasted the frame on it, and I had to put a real big bevel on it. It was sharpened, but it had like a gouge in the sharpening, so it kind of almost looks like a recurvy a little bit right there. That's just trying to fix what it was. And I probably will go ahead and regrind this one, re-etch it, and try to make it look good again. But this is one that I have worked on a little bit etched the Damascus a little bit. If you see, it looks different here than here. This is all sandblasted, and this was actually sanded after I sandblasted, and then I etched it, and then I tumbled the whole thing. So it's stone washed and etched, acid etched. So it looks a little different, but I just was playing with finishes. But this one still has the original purple stuff. This is another one I got from Scotch and Things. And then this one was a blade show of this year. This is the XL, which is, you know, ridiculously huge. You can see it's basically the length of both of these together. But super thick behind the edge. Probably not the best grind as far as what I like in a knife, even in a bruiser. So I probably will do something with this one. Probably flat ground it, just make it a little higher, flat ground. Try to reprofile it a little bit, make it something a little more what I want. I may do something like a onlay scale, like a 31 inlay or something like that. I don't know. I might do something with it, but then I might not do anything with it. We'll see, I guess. But I have plans to do something with this one eventually. But those are all my Zermanos. So tier XL, tier Damascus, regular tier, and then Harpoon. And now we're up to 5 from a manufacturer, and then we got the Hinderer. So XM24, this is an older generation. This one's running phosphor bronze. This is S35, but this is the older, it's the older 24s, and I got my own phosphor bronze on there. Like this knife a lot. Crazy edge. I think it's what's his name, Elmler, Mike Elmler, put an edge on that one. Project X. This one came from my buddy Mitch Bowling. I did make a scale for this one. It is contoured, which I can't really show you right now, but it is, I guess you kind of see it, ridiculously thick. I made the backspacer for it. Added the thumb studs to it, reblasted everything. This was originally gold. All this was gold. So it's kind of one of those, I wanted to make more like this. I know Mitch wanted some scales, and some other people wanted some scales. Two Steves wanted scales. Oh yeah, and I had to put the little, I did this by hand. It's before I got a belt grinder and stuff. But this is one that if I pick a Hinderer to carry out of all these, well, I did this morning actually. When I pick a Hinderer to carry, it's almost always this one. And I don't know why, but I gravitate towards this one. Even though I prefer the 24 overall size-wise better, this is great, especially in the backup roll. But probably the one I choose second, actually even over the 24, is probably this Eclipse. This is the Harpoon Tanto, which I guess is a little more rare. I don't know if you Hinderer people really care about that kind of stuff, but I think this is a 20 CV. This one came from my buddy Aaron. This one also came from Aaron. And this is a, what do you call it, Slicer 18, XM18. This just still has the G10 scales on it. Like, Hinderers feel way better all tie to me, but his tie scales for me are like they're hollow feeling. So even though it feels better with titanium, I don't see a huge advantage of moving to titanium. But if I get around to it, I'll probably end up making scales for all my, everything that ain't full tie, I probably will eventually get scales. It's a matter of getting the mill running and stuff. I also got one from Aaron, if I didn't say that. This one came from my buddy Jake, and this is one of the first ones, 18s that I got. This was for my wife. She's really fond of the whole blue anno thing, so ended up doing the blue hardware. This is not Hinderer hardware. I can't remember whose it is, but it's close. I measured it all. It's within what I would consider reasonable for the Hinderers anyhow. But this is the Hinderer collection for now. So 24, Project X, Eclipse, 18, and 18. All right, we're on to the Medfords now. 5 of the Medfords left. 2 of these do not look like the others, do they? All right, well, I guess we'll do those first. These are both my wife's. So this is a Praetorian, I think, Swift Flipper, something like that. It's not the super thin one, but it's not the super thick one either. So it's all right, nothing special. It is on the bearings, but you know, Medford really never has been known for good flippers as far as action goes. But she carries it every now and then. This one came from Jason Brass Brigade. This one actually got new. This is the Fighter Flipper. This is one of our anniversary knives. My wife and I kind of started to sell like our anniversaries with knives sometimes, but this is one that we both saw, both liked. It's a little fancy for my taste, but the blue, as I stated before, my wife's kind of into the whole blue anno thing. So this one's an S35. So this is a USMC Fighter Flipper from Medford. Still here. This one rarely gets carried or used. It's just more of a collection piece. And then I guess we'll do this one first, as I had this the longest. This is a TFF 1H, which, if you don't know the difference, is exactly the same thickness as the Fat Daddies. It just has a 3/16 blade instead of a 1/4 inch blade. Pretty much the same thing otherwise. You can see right here. Let's do it this way. It's the exact same thickness. Okay. So for overall, like taking a knife to work, still one of my absolute favorites is this one right here. I got this one long ago. I think I got it from Chuck Nunface, trade or otherwise. I can't remember. This one came from Will. This one was all gold anodized, gold hardware, gold scales with all the carved up work. Never been a huge fan of anodizing myself, like especially the gold stuff's just not my flavor. So if it was brown or bronze, like something a little darker, but the way it was done was just too, I don't know, it just looked cheesy to me. And with this blade, it kind of needed a little more subdued to me. So like the way it is now is awesome. So the blade's stock, nothing different with that, but all the hardware and everything else is all my blast jobs and tumble jobs, all that stuff. So yeah, really happy with that Fat Daddy. So this is unmodified, well, blasted, unmodified blade. The rest of it's blasted. So leave that one there. This one also came from Steve, Scotch and Things. And this one was also gold and kind of that bronzy, like bluey gold kind of thing, sort of almost similar to that, but not quite as blue. And the scales were these kind of like the gray spots of these scales were anodized kind of a gold. This blade also had that, what does he call it, Vulcan finish or whatever. So I got rid of the Vulcan finish, kind of like a dirty tumbled stone wash on it now. If you can see it. And then blasted a lot of the hardware. I ain't blasted all, but I blasted a lot of the hardware and then just kind of scuffed up the face of these to kind of make them what I want. But the inside's still black. If you can see in there, it's still black in there. And then obviously the Tanto regrind. I can't remember the dude's name. Is it Thomas? I want to say Kennard or something like that. He works for Medford, but he did the mod to it. So it's not a factory. It's not from the factory, but it is done in the factory by the dude that works there. So might as well say close enough to a Medford regrind. And when talking with Steve, I don't think that the dude Thomas actually regrind that. So who knows who did that regrind, but it's a phenomenal job. Excellent knife. And you can see action great as shit on that one. Still love my Medfords. Just down to these. I probably will eventually get another Marauder. Maybe some other ones too, but for right now, by far and large, this design, the Fat Daddy TFF1 design, is by far my favorite in Medfords. All right, we're on the DSKs now. So one I've had the longest, kickstand. It's not the only kickstand I've ever owned, but you can see it's a beast of a knife. Won't even fit all the way in frame. Let's see if I can get this sucker up. I got to raise it up for the DSKs. See if we can do it. There we go. All right, turn it sideways in. So DSK kickstand. This one's in Damascus, Chad Nichols Damascus. As far as I know, DSK primarily works in 154 CM and Chad Nichols Damascus. Every now and then it's Sam Mai or something like that, but for the most part it's 154 CM and Chad Nichols. But had this one kickstand the longest. This one's actually was profiled on Dirt Warning's channel, and then I think the dude's name was Vinny that sold it, or Vince or Vinny or Vincent, or I don't know, I can't remember exactly. But it didn't have this clip on it. It had that little bling bling clip on it, and I just swapped the two because it fits this knife better, and I hate bling bling myself. So we'll get into that in a second. So kickstand, the one I've had the longest, and I guess out of these, this GF2 I've had longer than the rest of them. And this was an anniversary present from my wife. As I went over before, sometimes we celebrate anniversaries with knives. This one is that, I don't know if he calls it Vulcan finish, but Medford would call it a Vulcan finish. But you see how beautiful the blade looks, and I love the blasted scales and subdued and kind of chill. And that little pocket clip, even though I'm not a fan of that bling bling, kind of goes good with this one. It kind of suits it like what it should have come with, I guess, comparatively speaking. But this is my wife's knife, or she claims it anyhow. It's, you know, it's ours together. It's an anniversary knife, but she would definitely say this is her knife. Let's see what came next. I want to say the VXC did. So the VXC, is that right? Yeah, VX, right? Okay, I think so. Yeah, so this is the full size. I actually ordered another one. I had a GF1 that was very similar to this one, other than this backside was blue, but it still had that skull logo, and it was kind of like a match set. Dan made them kind of both at the same time for me. This was supposed to be someone else's knife. They backed out. I bought it. So I got this one and my other one at the same time. And I got a different GF1, so I ended up selling it. So this is the only one that remains. The only reason I don't carry this one more is because it's G10 scale. I need to make a full titanium scale for it. I asked Dan to do it a while back when he made this one, and he just wasn't into it. So maybe I'll ask him again, or maybe I'll make my own. I don't know. But the G10 scale is the only thing I dislike about this knife, and I don't mind what he did to it. I just wish it was titanium personally, because I'm just not a fan of G10, especially on a big bruiser like this. But I still love this knife. Still carry it often. I think this one came next. This one was Plethora Blades. And this is the Megalodon. You can see how big this thing is. It's ridiculous. Um, it's just a huge beast of a knife, but it's got such good action for such a huge knife. It's really hard to describe. If you've never handled a DSK, you know, and you're into big knives, this is definitely one to check out. The kickstand's probably a more popular model of his, but you can see them even side by side. That Megalodon's even bigger than the kickstand. So the kickstand's a big knife, but that Megalodon's ridiculous, man. And then finally, the last one I got was this GF1. I got this from my buddy Thomas. I've gotten several from him over the years, and some stay and some go, but the last few I've gotten from him seem to be getting traded away or swapped away with away. But this one right here is a here to stay kind of thing. And this, for whatever reason, I don't know why, like we all like get reminded of certain knives at certain times, but like this reminds me of the Sebenza so much. Like it's the bruiser version of the Sebenza, man. Like I don't know if it's just like let's see if I can make my point real quick. If this was a drop point, it'd make way more sense. But like you can see this kind of over the bruiser version, at least for me anyhow. So this is my kind of a classier knife that I like to carry, but still a beast of a knife. Great blade. This one's a 3/16 blade. If I didn't mention it already, the Megalodon and the VX are both that 1/4 inch thick blade. All the rest of those 3/16. So for you guys that are like bruisers like me. But by far and large, my favorite manufacturer is still DSK. All right, we're down to one-offs, so I'll try to make it short and sweet. Trouble Blades Mofo, reground by Thomas Kennard, or whatever his name was that works for Medford. I think this is one of the ones that slipped in that they changed their rules, and now only Medfords can be modified in Medford factory. But this you can see by the grind. Like, you clearly can see that's a Medford grind right there all the way. Love the regrind on this knife. This one also came from Plethora Blades eons ago, but I swore I was gonna make a clip for it. Still haven't done it. I had a Strider clip on it for a while, but it sucked equally as bad, so it just needs a new clip. But other than that, like, it's a thin profile knife, but the action on this one has improved tremendously over the years as I had it and played with it. But after that regrind, it really made that knife. So Trouble Blades work Mofo. I'm gonna keep the camera rolling and hopefully get this all done. I'm gonna try to go as quick as possible. So RSK Orca, recently purchased. Who came from Airhead Outdoors, Scott over there. I did another video on it. I'm not gonna go into too many details because it's pretty recent, but there's the Orca. It's a one-off custom. It even says it on the card. Believe this is I'm sorry, it's Damascus. I just can't remember 3V and something else. I can't remember what it's mixed with. But cool knife. Just some of the internals aren't what I expected it. And overall, like, it's not really an action knife, but it's a cool knife for a collection. So RSK. Can't have a bruiser collection without the Crusader Forge. So Crusader Forge, Fears for Prey. This one has been reground. Mike Cuddy Cuts on Instagram reground it for me. Did a phenomenal job on doing it. Pretty simple on the regrind, but man, it doesn't have to be complicated to be badass the way I look at it. But I had other Crusader Forges, but this is the one that remains. And I don't know, something about this one, like if you never mess with a Crusader Forge, like it has a flipper, you know, and then obviously the thumb hole. You can access it from the back too. Like, not all Crusaders are built the same as far as like action, that sort of thing, and the stick up, the lock stick, and all that stuff. Like, it's common, but this one really has. It stood the test of time for me. I truly love this Fears for Prey. All right, moving on. So I don't think I've actually showed it in video since I've got it, but this was I think they call it Combat Folder, and it looks just like his. I think they call it Stateside XL. It just had that back spacer that came out of the back, and I didn't really like it. And it's also got these bars, or as Doom would call, benches parked on the scales. But yes, it's on both sides. But I did remove the back spacer and go to standoffs and drill and tap those for I think it's 632. But I like it better like this now. So it kind of sort of in the same realm of what I did to the Fat Daddy and all that stuff. I blasted it, had like that rainbow anodized kind of thing. This one came from Chuck Nunface. If you go back and watch his video, you can probably see what it used to look like. These were also real sharp around the edges, and he burred the edges. So I basically just made this knife more me, and now I'm happy with it as now. It's not a manufacturer that I resonate with a lot. Like, a lot of his knives are cool designs, but the finishes aren't what I want, or if the finish is what I want, the design's not what I like. So it's been hit and miss for me. I've been wanting to support Shane and his wife. I don't know her name, but I met him at Medford years and years and years ago before he started Scorpion 6. So I'm glad to have one of his knives in the collection, even though it's not 100% originally his now. I'll put my touch on it, but Scorpion 6. I'm glad I have that one in here. And y'all know I've shouted it from the rooftop, but Sergey Rogovitz, sorry. This is the Rhino. I did have two of these Rhinos, and the other one had definitely a snappier detent, snappier action. I took this one apart and putting phosphor bronze washers on it. I like this one better because it's the contoured scales, nice thick. The other one was like slab side, but very similar as far as overall build goes. This one is a generation different than the other one. The other one had like two different stop pins, one from open, one from closed. This one's ground a little more thinly. Just a bunch of little small details is why I chose this one over the other one, but I got this directly from Sergey Rogovitz. Highly recommend his work. I will look for more stuff, but I just want the bigger stuff. I've seen he makes a lot of kind of normally sized, kind of nice, but Sergey Rogovitz Rhino, dig the shit out of this one. All right, Eric Luther Warnot. When I got this one, is orange scales, black backspacer. I want to say orange clip too. But I got this one off Facebook. Steve Clark kind of clued me into a dude that was selling it, and I got it, kind of made my own. The detent felt weird when I first got it, so I kind of reworked the detent, put a different ball in it, and kind of set it a little differently. And I've reworked that backspacer and kind of radiused it a little better so it's not as brutal in your hand. I don't know if you can see how it's radiused back in there, but and also blasted and tumbled it too. So I like this one like it is now way better than what it was. It's a lot more like easier in the hand. It's not kind of pokey and sharp, but you can see it's pretty much all a CNC knife. Brilliantly done. Excellent CNC work. The blade on this one is that you can see the ball grooves in it. Maybe you can, maybe you can't, depending on the light. I don't know, but I may and I may not do a quick little regrind on that one just to kind of smooth everything over. I'm kind of sort of thinking about it. Eric Luther Warnot, I like the action on this one. Super notable as far as action goes, kind of like the Direware. Like it's got that snappier action kind of thing. All right, we're getting some more rare knives. I'll get back into the mainstream in a minute. This was a manufacturer called Nocturnal Knives. I haven't been around for eons. They end up stealing a bunch of money from a bunch of people. I don't even remember what the model of this one thing's called, but it has tons of problems. Namely, like, so like you have to have it loose and have play in it in order to have any action. And then also you can kind of see tons of detent rock because it's actually not hitting the stop pin on this side. It's hitting on the lock bar, and it's hitting actually on the lock bar. Watch the lock bar. See it flexing? So I've been threatening to do work on this one to fix it, but I just never have gotten around to it. I guess I don't care enough. I like it for the collection piece and some of the history of it, but kind of cool to have this one in the collection. And actually the dude who reprofiled this SMF was BTF, Blood Than Flowers. It used to be on YouTube. He worked for this guy for a little while, and then he kind of bounced, and after he bounced, everybody kind of got the idea that, hey, something shady might be going on, and sure enough it was. But anyway, this is kind of like a reminder for me anyhow. I like this knife just for that reason alone. All right, this one is another Arizona knife maker. This one has pretty crappy action. Actually, overall, not the best knife, but it's just cool looking, I guess. And I've been threatening to rebuild this one and do it the way I want to do it too. This is Magnum Works. This is a Paratheon. So you can see it's kind of got a cool design to it. Blade to handle ratio is pretty horrendous. Like you see how bad that was. The Scorpion 6 was kind of the same way, but yeah, you know, it was a cool one to have. It's another AZ knife maker, and I think over time I will make time to get around to fixing that one because I think I like the aesthetics of it enough to put the time into it to make it a little better. Obviously the thumb studs weren't stock like this. They were kind of like a single-sided thumb stud, and it would bend. It wouldn't even lock up right. So I made this look for a solution for right now. I don't remember if I pressed this one in or if it screws together. Honestly, don't remember at this point. I had to take it back apart and look at it. But Magnum Works Paratheons, and he does mostly fixed blade stuff now and like little self-defense tools and that sort of thing. DDR Dominator. So I got this one from Will. It's one of those knives that like either resonates with you or doesn't. And honestly, to me, it's like what I always wanted ZT to be. It's kind of a little bit bigger and a little bit bulkier, a little more custom touchy. And I don't know, like I couldn't bring myself to put studs on this one. I really thought that when I got it, I'd end up putting studs on it, but I just can't bring myself to do it. Like obviously Daryl Rouse not alive anymore, so whether it was a you know, mid-tech or whatever it was, he had to have his hand in it, whether it was just designing it and overseeing the operations or whatever. But you know, like to me, it's still a DDR and made in the USA. Badass. All right, moving on. So one of my wife's knives. This was a direct thing because JD for EDC sent his in. Looked just like this. This one had a very similar amount of problems. If you look at it, you can see my wife does use this thing mostly for boxes and that sort of stuff. But you can see the wear on the aluminum, and yeah, she'll carry it. She'll use it. So this is her little case. I can't remember what this is called. Marilla maybe. This one's in Magna Cut. And I know people that criticize the hardness of Magna Cut and all that stuff, but you know, for whatever reason, this one stayed pretty sharp and done pretty good for a long time for my wife. So I'm not really complaining for her work uses of it or whatever you want to call it. This one was kind of sort of I took it basically in on trade or traded for it from Aaron. It's a Scout Sherbakov. I think that's how you say it. Scout. It's not one that ever really resonated with me. I just kind of took it on and I wanted to do it as a project. So I kind of sort of improved it where I wanted to improve it. I did a little kind of flame anno over a blast. I think I blasted it, then I scuffed it, and then I did a little anno work on it. You can kind of see a little bit of colors and some of this stuff. I can't remember. Oh yeah, I increased the access down here because I couldn't get access to the lock bar, so I put some lock bar access to it. But it's a good knife. It's super light, super long, and just like not my style at all. But I will carry it for backup every now and then, and it's just kind of here because it's here. Like, I don't know, somebody might be offer on one, and they probably get it. But it's just one of those knives that just kind of always stuck around for no other reason other than just to have it. So another custom, also from Scotch and Things and from Aaron. Scotch and Things owns it first, then Aaron, and then me. So this is the Torque. I like this knife a ton. It's so unique and so different. Definitely one of the collection pieces that I'm proud of to have. As far as actually using a knife and that sort of thing, I haven't yet, really, to be honest with you. I mean, very lightly used it, but you can see there's not really any marks on it or anything other than scratches in the titanium basically for getting carried. But I'm not afraid to carry it or nothing like that. It's just one of those, it's so unique and such a handmade piece. You just have to have it in your hand to see what I mean. It's like, it doesn't scream like, you know, primarily for me is bruiser stuff. This is not scream bruiser. This is more like elegant style, deep hollow ground, really nice knife, but just not exactly what is like my wheelhouse of knife, more or less. So we'll go to this one too. So this is EOS. Oh, what was this thing called? Sturgeon? I can't remember, something like that. It looked completely different than this one I got it. This one also came from Aaron. This was like Joker colored, like green and purple and all that. I knew that shit had to go. The blade was even some kind of funky anno or something, or Cerakote or something. Made new studs for it because the stock studs suck. I think it was only single-sided too, if I'm not mistaken. Made the clip for it. Modified the handles and blasted the handles. I don't know, it's just one of those knives that's kind of stuck around because for phosphor bronze action, it's actually not bad. It's a pretty cool work knife size-wise, and it's fairly light, even though I don't really like light knives. It's got that nice heavy blade, so I think that's the main reason it stuck around, is the blade. I'm thinking what I'm going to do is probably do a regrind on this one, probably put a hollow on this one, or maybe raise it flat a little bit or something. I'm not sure. I'll probably do a hollow on it just to kind of see what I can do with it. But yeah, just one of those ones that kind of stuck around, and for no other reason than it's just nobody's offered me no money for it or trade for it or anything, or showed any interest in it, so that's why it's still here. I may do something with it in the future, may not. I don't know. You know how that stuff goes. Blade show also, I saw this, not this particular one, but this VECP. Buddy Sean wanted the VECP with the button lock, and I'm not a button lock fan, but when I went and got him this one, or that one, I saw this basically sitting there. Chad Nichols Damascus. It's also hollow ground instead of flat ground, like the VCPs were, or I don't know if they still are or not. And then I ended up putting up a RGT clip on it, and it kind of sort of matches that motif a little bit better than that stock clip does. But man, for a production or a mid-tech knife, then with action on these things are ridiculous, man. It's so nice. Just a real good knife. I don't really care as much because it's a little bit thinner than what I generally like, but it's such a classy knife. So I kind of look at that like when I'm carrying other backup knives, this is kind of sort of in that realm for me. So cool enough to have in the collection, but I really don't carry it all that often, even though I'm not afraid to. I just don't. I don't know why. I just haven't done it. Okay, we're kind of getting into some of my wife's knives. So this was like before we got engaged, or actually as an engagement present. I guess we kind of sort of got these. We had tried to get another one of this series. Well, we did buy one. It was like matching or consecutive numbers, but it ended up being a lemon. And he went back, and it's, you know, like typical Boker stuff. But this is a Neil Blackwood design. This number 189. This is the Pip Squeak. Sorry, I'll get it right. So Neil Blackwood himself makes the Pimp Squeak, but this is the Pip Squeak made by the Tree brand Boker, which I don't think I think this is long since discontinued. But actually, for a Boker, it's actually, as I can't do it, but it's actually one of the cooler Bokers. Mercator scale is probably one of the few that I've gotten from them that I actually thought was a decent quality knife. But this is, like I said, I've tried 3 other ones to try to get one for a matching set. And this is the only one that remains. So this is another one that's kind of like more of a throwback from the old days, which I can't even make it work. Definitely, you see my wife's into blue again. This is the SOG Bluto. This is one of the ones that you just kind of like, I don't know, before Access Lock was legal to copy, this is called the Arc Lock, which is basically the same thing, just somehow they got away with doing it. This is the old SOG. I don't even know where this one's, VG10 maybe or something. This is just a little box cutter she used to carry. I don't think she really carries it much anymore, but still in her collection. And then of course the Poochie. If y'all didn't know, we work in the veterinary industry, so gotta have a little Poochie. I don't know why. It's just one of those things. When I saw it and they got released, I think I got this one from OCD for EDC, one of his sales. I think it's got his number up there, if I'm not mistaken. It's collector number. But I'm pretty sure this one came from him, if I remember correctly. It's just one of the ones that just, I don't know. I had to get it just for that simple fact. Never gets used, never gets carried, but it's still in the collection, right? All right, this one was actually my buddy Steve Clare loaned, or actually, yeah, he loaned one in to get customized or whatever else. And it was, I want to say it was green. I did some work to it. It turned out looking really cool, but I wasn't really sure if he was 100% satisfied with it. So what I ended up doing was buying another one of these, and I got it for a pretty good deal. And it's kind of a plain Jane one in case he said he wanted to modify it somewhere different. I was just going to modify this one and send it to him. But this is the Bradford. I think this is the, yeah, G3F. So it's actually not a bad little knife. It's kind of quirky, but cool at the same time. It's made in the United States, so the grind on it is probably the standout feature for it. But it's a super small knife for me, so definitely backup roll for me. And I honestly, I don't think I've ever carried this. Or if I have, it might have been once or twice. Probably could use an edge. I sent this one to Chuck Nunface to check out. He didn't even make a video on it, so that shows you what he thought about it too. It's just one of the ones that, I don't know, it's kind of cool to have. But at the same time, like, I don't really care about it. You know, like, if it gets gone, it gets gone. No big deal to me. If you followed this channel long enough, you know that I won the first Knife Rights rally, or whatever you want to call it, raffle. I won that first one, and my prize, well, I got a bunch of prizes, but the one thing that I had to win, I gave all that stuff away except for this one. This is directly from, you know, Doug Ritter. Basically gave me the go ahead, order what you want from Knife Center kind of thing. But this is the one, so this one kind of stays in the collection just for that fact. Like, I never, ever, ever use this. Never. I think I've carried it on a couple dog walks and maybe brought it in the car to try to see if I'd carry it. But access lock just really, honestly, in general, aren't my things. And even though I really like this knife, like, it's a cool, well-made knife, it just doesn't resonate with me. It's one of those knives that just don't. It's a great knife, it just doesn't resonate with me. But I'll probably keep it just for the nostalgic factor. This one I'm definitely keeping. This one came as a gift from my buddy Steve Clare. So this is the Benchmade Crooked River. This is the custom shop when you can order them what you wanted. And I believe Steve did this order, and he lives somewhere up near there. Not to tell his business, but he lives close to it. So it's kind of like one of his home kind of knife builders up there. Where, you know, for me it'd be the DSK, the Medford, and the Scorpion 6, and the Magnum Works, and all those other guys from AZ. So I can definitely get down with it. It's cool ass American themed blade. This is M4 too, so this is this step. I was blown away when Steve gave me this thing, man. It's like, it's one of those gifts too where you're like, really, you want to give that to me? Like, I was just shocked that he even offered it to me. But I dig it, even though I'm not really a huge access lock guy. This one does get carried. I do like to use this one, but very, very lightly. So this one's kind of more of those, I don't know, for special occasion kind of knives for me. So kind of sort of like Labor Day. I might carry this one on Labor Day for the American theme. All right, moving on. Let's see what we got left. Let's do this guy. So this one originally came from Aaron, and I got it reground. Actually reground from a regrind, so it's been reground twice. So super thin, super shorter. This is the DPX Hest. Did put different thumb studs on it. I can't remember if I blasted the frame. I think I did blast the frame on this one, but I honestly don't remember. Maybe it's not my blast. Maybe it's the factory blast. I can't remember, but it's a cool little handy knife for you know, fifth pocket and that sort of stuff. But it's kind of weird. But as far as little knives go, I get more of a feel on this one than I do of most of the little knives. I like the lock bar tension. I like how it feels. Just something about this knife resonates with me. It's one of the first small knives that I got that I actually liked and wanted to keep. So I actually kind of recommend if you like little knives, but kind of sort of still fat little bruisers over little knives, because this guy is a little fat chunky boy. I like this guy a lot. Oh yeah, obviously American made, American motifs too. I used to be really into that whole motif thing. Still am, but you know what I mean. All right, so this one was a gift from Rodney over at Knifetanium, Knifetastic. This is the GT knives. This is in, I think, ATS 34 or some shit like that. It's a weird steel. Very strange company. I'd never heard them before. The scales look really weird, but they're aluminum. So you can see the pattern and stuff in them. Really strange knife, but a while back I had gifted Rodney some knives. We'd done a little, you know, he's a fellow machinist, so he just thought that it'd be cool to re-gift me something, and so he got me this. This is an American made knife. Strange, I don't really use this one that much. This one used to live in my box as a machinist, and honestly what I would do with is when people brought me their knives to sharpen, I'd hand them this one so they have a sharp knife while I was sharpening their knife. This is pretty much what I use this one for a long time, but you can see it doesn't look like it's been carried hardly at all. So everybody I've loaned it to actually took good care of it, but it's kind of weird. It's like a button lock, but it's the pivot, so it's kind of weird. You can't just fling the thumb studs out, they won't come. You got to push that lock in first and then kind of two-hand open it. So it's kind of a goofy action knife, but it's still a really good knife. Well, it's well made. It's just not my flavor really. So this here because it was a gift from a friend. While we're on gifts from friends, Mitch Bowling also gifted me this guy a while back. I was gonna get rid of it. Like I really thought for sure. This is the Ohio River Jack, in case you didn't know. This is a Chinese knife, and I was like, I'm not keeping Chinese knives. And I sort of that kind of put it on the back burner. I bought a Medford slip joint to kind of see if I'd like slip joints. This one felt way better as far as like the action on it, the feel of it, even way better than that Medford. This one just felt better. So like I was like, you know what, like there's no point in getting rid of it. I'm not gonna get anything for it. And I could gift it away, or I could refinish it or something like that. But I'm just gonna try to use it. I occasionally try to use it. I honestly don't carry this one that much, but I probably will eventually kind of get around if I ever get into a slip joint phase or want to try something different. I probably will carry this one, but this one is definitely sticking around. I believe QSP, made this, but don't quote me on that because I'm just quoting other people from YouTube. But once again, thank you, Mitch, staying in the collection because Mitch gave it to me. Another one that was gifted to me, my brother Chris, Cue Ball, gifted me this Recon 1. You can see it's got a lot of beating on this. So I've definitely used and abused this knife. It's got stuff all over it, but man, what's a cold steel for if not for a work knife, man? This one's an S35. This is also a hollow ground, but you can see the coating actually held up better than I thought it would. I mean, it's losing on some spots, but it's been a damn good work knife, and I've not been easy on that one at all. But you can tell I like that knife, and I've used that knife a lot. And this is probably one of the few full like G10, you know, that I've got. And at certain times, like when I'm sweaty as hell, standing on a fucking ladder, I can't drop a knife, otherwise I gotta climb all the way down. This is the one I'm gonna grab. So great work knife. You can see that like not really caring about the finish kind of has its advantages at times too, even though I treasure the knife, you know what I mean, if that made sense. All right, so kind of more recently, got this one from Nate, I think. Is that who it was? I can't remember. I'm pretty sure it was. But Alpha Hunter Apocalypse. This is number 1 of the 1 through 10. I think it says it right here. We went through a little bit of a deep dive on it and try to see if it was Chinese or not, and I'm 99% sure it's, you know, Alpha Hunter through Hoback through Wee. Pretty sure it's a Wee made knife. I'm almost guaranteed, because that's who Hoback uses. Almost guarantee this is almost all Wee knives, but I've kind of come to the conclusion that I still like the knife. And you know, even if it is Chinese, I think I'm going to hold on to it for a little while. I was originally going to just flip it, get rid of it, but the more I have it, the more I use it, the more I kind of like it. I'm just like, you know what? I mean, it's kind of good to have a little balance. Like I hate having Chinese-made knives. I don't really support that industry, but at the same time, it's a good, well-made knife, and I like it. It's a bruiser. It's a nice, thick, chunky guard, and you can't fault it if you judge a knife as a knife, like mechanical-wise. Like it does not have the faults of Chinese knives of old. Like this is definitely a more modern Chinese knife, and I can't think of too many manufacturers stateside that produce a knife that's really this clean and this nice. And I hate to say it because I am, you know, obviously an American machinist for over almost 30 years. I was American machinist, so like I look at this and I wish there were more American companies doing stuff like this, but they're just really not. And I think that's the biggest disappointing thing for Hoback for me. But having said that, I guess I kind of sort of went on a little binge lately. And if you watched Ken Faulkner's video, he did some Warren clips there lately. He mentioned me when he showed this artisan proponent, but only thing different was he had the brass one. Well, bro, I love brass, but you know titanium is my flavor, bro, and I have to go with a frame lock. So I got this artisan proponent. This is kind of more of like a, I guess years ago, Dirk Warren did a Chinese budget knives kind of talk, and I ended up buying a couple of budget knives. I gifted them away. It's been years now. I think it was like a Kubi, and I can't remember what the other one was. What was the other one? Oh, it doesn't matter. But anyway, like I thought, well, you know, I'll take that challenge again. So this is more like what I considered, you know, if you're into these kind of knives, like you're not getting one of these cheap, right? Same with the Skypes and even the Grayman sawtooths and stuff. You know, you're not talking cheap knives. So, but if you're into those style knives, this is considered a cheap knife. This is sub $200, and this is, I think, M390 if I'm not mistaken. Can't remember for sure. I think it's M390 on this one, and titanium frame lock, and it doesn't have some of the grooves and stuff that some of the other ones did. I had borrowed Matt Mattisfax's proponent a while back. He had the G10 with the D2 blade. I thought it was a phenomenal knife, especially for the when you're cutting on something, not cutting through something, but cutting on something. This is a phenomenal little utility knife. So, artisan proponent, it's in the collection. Believe it or not, I'll do a little video on my thoughts on the Chinese knives, more update kind of thing in the future, not to disappoint any of you guys that are all 100% American made. But yeah, I got Chinese knives in the collection, and it just happened. And while I did, this is really recent. Talking to Bearded Doom. If you watched the channel a long time ago, Brandon Thrasher had one of these Sandstorm, the original versions, and it had some funky stuff on it, and he didn't like it because of that funky stuff. So I ended up getting it from him, doing all the mods he wanted to, and giving it back to him, and he ended up selling it, and then somehow Doom ended up with it, which is kind of cool, but Doom's got it. But it had like a little pin for locking the blade out, and some other little doodad things that weren't right, like a little twisty lock over travel stop stabilizer thing, just a bunch of funky stuff. Anyway, that knife left a lasting impression on me. Like, I love the action of that knife, but just something about it, like, you know, I don't know why, just like this one just called my name. So this is a Sandstorm 2. This one did have blue ano and a blue clip, and I literally got this today and took the clip off and the stone studs off and blasted it. So I've had it all of a day, and it's already been modified. Will it stay? Will it not? I don't know. You know, we'll see. I like it so far. So this is another inexpensive, well, for bruiser wise, for an integral. This is about $400, and that's what I think I paid just under $400 for this. But yeah, Chinese knives in the collection. I can't believe it. I can't believe that ever happened, but yeah, it did. So that's it, I believe, for the folders. Obviously, I got fixed blades and stuff like that, but I try to make it as quick as I can. I didn't ramble as much as I thought I was going to, but this is it. So back to it again. So hope y'all enjoyed the quick collection video, a little sawtooth to go on the way out. Hope y'all have an awesome Labor Day weekend. Hope you appreciate the quick view of my collection. All right, y'all be cool. Later.